This is Goku-san, DBZ, and of course today is Top 12 Sunday, and today is a special Top 12 Steven Spielberg movies, or just Spielberg movies. Now, today, unlike some recently, I've been given honorable mentions at the beginning of the Top 12 list. I'm going back to where I used to do, which is right before number 1 is revealed. Now, coming in at, and of course, this is going to be a combination of opinions from Facebook, from Twitter, looking at stuff popularity-wise on YouTube, Tumblr, as I think I already mentioned, yeah, as well as looking at critic scores and stuff on IMDb, and also looking at critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So it'll be a mixture of people and critics alike to come up with this list. So keep that in mind. Coming in at number 12, Minority Report, starring, of course, Tom Cruise. Now, some people may not know about the Minority Report is that originally it was supposedly going to be, by another director, was going to be supposedly some sort of sequel to Total Recall, which of course was years prior by, of course, obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger. But yes, this movie is a very fascinating film, I will say, without a shadow of a doubt. It's a true gem piece of cinema. It's really good thriller slash science fiction movie. And it's definitely probably one of the better also films starring Tom Cruise, obviously. And I highly recommend you check it out if you've never watched Minority Report. You'll like it. If you enjoy Bond and you enjoy films such as Mission Impossible, you'll enjoy Minority Report. Coming in at number 11, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, Catch Me If You Can, which is definitely a really good film overall. It's definitely one of the, at least personally for me, it's one of my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movies, alongside another really good movie by, of course, Nolan, Inception. But yes, it's a very good film, and I highly recommend you check out Catch Me If You Can if you've never seen it. It's a really good film by Spielberg. And as always, Tom Hanks and Spielberg together always make a really good duo with everything they've done, pretty much, which is why I can't wait to see the new film that just came out, Bridge of Spies. Coming in at number 10, starring also Tom Hanks, based on true events, The Terminal, which is a really good film. Basically, it's about this person that left country in Eastern Bloc Europe that's a neighbor of Russia, former part of the Soviet Union, and he basically, if he comes into American land and stuff, he will be arrested immediately, so he has to stay within the JFK airport for all these, like, years or whatever. And it's really interesting, given this is actually based on a true story, and of course, the film is really good, well directed by Spielberg, and very well acted out, the main character being Tom Hanks. But Tom Hanks is a really top-notch actor. He's one of those high-level quality actors. He's done so many great films over the years. And if you haven't seen The Terminal, it's definitely a hidden gem, I think, from Spielberg and Tom Hanks. Not one of their bigger, more well-known films, but it's just as good nonetheless. Coming in at number 9 is a tie between Spielberg's classic, now horror film, Poltergeist, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which are two classic horror films from the 80s, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, classic film from, of course, the late 70s, 1977, which was the same year we also got the first Star Wars movie, and many other really great movies. So that was a good year in cinema, to be fair. But yes, personally, for me, one of my favorite, probably top 5 favorite all-time horror movies is Poltergeist. And it's a really good movie, and let's just say I did not like the remake that they did. And I wouldn't recommend you out there see it either. Basically a rehashing. They did try some new ideas, to be fair, but still, it wasn't nearly as good as the original, but usually never is. And Close Encounters of the Third Kind is just a classic science fiction film, period. It's so well done, and of course in this movie the aliens aren't evil. They're actually very welcoming and very positive. And of course we'll never forget that moment when they tried to communicate with the ship through music and stuff like sounds, which is interesting. It's definitely a classic science fiction film. And for anybody that considers themselves a sci-fi fan and you haven't seen it, you really need to watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's truly a classic. Coming in at number 8. Starring Robin Williams, and of course directed by, obviously, Steven Spielberg, Hook. Now with this film, Hook is, Robin Williams plays Peter Pan. He's aged. He came to our world, and he ended up marrying, like the girl you saw in the original animated film, she's his mother-in-law, and he ends up marrying her daughter. So it's kind of interesting. He ends up, of course, having kids. His wife passed away. And Hook comes and, like, kidnaps his children and stuff. And he's forgotten all about that. He was Peter Pan stuff. And Tinkerbell tries to help revive his memories and stuff and relearn how to fly to face Hook. And, of course, trying to remember her name now. Darn it. Drew Barrymore, which, of course, plays the part of, obviously, Tinkerbell. It's a really good film, and yeah, it's basically like a sequel to Disney's Peter Pan movie, you could say, in a lot of ways. But it's a really good film. It does have its plot holes, but most movies, even good classics, do. Now, unlike some of Spielberg's other movies, this movie, with most audiences, is either you love it or you hate it type movie. There's really no middle ground on the movie, for some odd reason. Personally, I grew up as a kid watching Hook, and I loved Peter Pan as a kid, so yeah, I naturally loved Hook. And I'm very disappointed with the Pan movie. But Hook is good, and it was definitely very successful with the critics, because one of my personal critic heroes, Roger Ebert, very much enjoyed very much enjoyed Hook himself. And that's one thing I have to say, is it's just a really good overall good family film. And that's good if you want to show your kids some, say you grew up with in the 80s, 90s. That's a good film to show your kids. Coming in at number 7. Lincoln, which is one of the newer, more recent films by Spielberg. Really good all-star cast in the movie, very well directed, well executed. Top-notch acting among everyone, but man, the acting ability of who they had play Abraham Lincoln was just incredible. And he brought such a great amount of feeling and stuff. You really did feel the pain and stuff like Lincoln was going through. I mean, it's just such an incredible film, and he was truly one of the greatest presidents that ever lived. And all I know is it's one of, I think, probably the top 3 best movies I've seen from the 2010s, without a shadow of a doubt. But it was very successful among also critics, and it also got nominated for multiple awards, of course, at the Oscars, which is no surprise. Spielberg is no stranger to the Oscars. Coming in at number 6. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which is a classic family film by Spielberg. And if you look in that film, you actually see in the background like toys and stuff from Star Wars, which was sort of a little head nod to Spielberg's good friend George Lucas. And if you look in I think it's our episode 1 or episode 2, if you look at one of the podiums, you only see the special edition version of it, but it shows the alien creatures of E.T. in one of the prequel movies, and that's very interesting. Of course, that was a head nod to Spielberg from his good friend Lucas. And yeah, those franchises are kind of intertwined in some ways. It's kind of interesting if you think about it. But E.T. is a classic family film from the 80s. Of course, it was the debut of a future actor, the actress that sadly is not very well respected nowadays. Oh crap, I realized I messed up on the one who played Tinkerbell. This was the debut of her, my bad. Sorry, I'm still half asleep while filming this. Still morning, but anyways, E.T. is definitely a classic, and it was the best advertisement Reese's Pieces could ever hope to have. And that's no surprise whatsoever there. But it's definitely a good film. And I highly recommend, of course, if you've never seen E.T., why have you not seen E.T.? That's the only way I know to react to it. It's so iconic now. And part of pop culture, definitely, of the 80s. And of course, it has one of those timeless, beautiful pieces of music from, of course, the great John Williams, which is no stranger to Spielberg films or George Lucas films. Either way you go. Sort of like Burton with Danny Elfman, you could say. But truly classic. Coming in at number 5 is a tie, actually. The first of the two tied at number 5 is the classic from 1970s, Jaws. Jaws did for swimming what Friday the 13th did for camping. If you saw Friday the 13th, you would not want to go to summer camp at all. Same thing goes for Jaws. Jaws messed with a lot of people's swimming habits. Even in the interview, even Rob Zombie said that. After he saw Jaws as a kid, he stayed away from salt water for 20 some odd years. So yeah, that movie really had an impact in pop culture, definitely for the 70s, and it's definitely become one of his most iconic films from Spielberg, and it really is a classic. And it's definitely probably the best shark movie ever made. And tied with it is another classic from the 80s, of course, starring Michael J. Fox. And this is the first of the trilogy, and that being the first of Back to the Future, which, of course, we've all come to love the fictional character Doc Brown. And it's interesting how also that film made the DeLorean car become so well known in the 80s. It was a virtually unknown car. But it's kind of interesting, and now you look back and you can't picture any other car in that trilogy other than the DeLorean, without a shadow of a doubt. Coming in at number 5 is the first of the 3 movies in the trilogy, which technically was co-opted on by Spielberg and Lucas, but more people remember the involvement of course, Steven Spielberg. And this is, of course, the first of the Indiana Jones films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, at number 4. Good, timeless film, and definitely the best. I mean, personally, for me, my favorite Indiana Jones film was actually the second one, Temple of Doom. But I understand why Raiders of the Lost Ark is the most popular, overwhelmingly. Especially among critics besides fans. But yeah, that's just my own personal opinion. I just always preferred the second one. But everybody's entitled to their particular favorite movie in a franchise, of course. Coming in at number 3. Directed by, of course, Spielberg. And starring again Tom Hanks. And this film is called Saving Private Ryan. A true modern classic among war films. Saving Private Ryan is just remarkable. And just very well executed, very well acted. And of course the music is top-notch as usual from Williams. And it's just a really interesting story taking place in World War II era. And yeah, and just Tom Hanks has kind of become known for this stuff because he also co-directed, of course, with HBO, The Pacific and also Band of Brothers, World War II miniseries. So him and Spielberg are definitely no strangers to doing war-themed things, whether it be movies or miniseries. And this is why so many people love, and I think this is the movie that really is what made people really look forward to any movies being done together by Hanks and Spielberg. This was the movie that did it. Coming in at number 2 is probably the most revolutionary film, definitely of the 90s, became a huge statement in pop culture. And it had a movie come out this year, a sequel, which ended up becoming the largest grossing for this year, obviously, at over $1.6 billion, Jurassic World. And, of course, number 2 is Jurassic Park. Now, this is personally my number 1 favorite Steven Spielberg movie of all time, hands down. But it's just incredible. I mean, it's, you know, as a kid, you automatically pretty much always like and love dinosaurs, but this movie was incredible. Between the perfect balance of CGI and animatronics, it was the perfect balance, and it made the movie just perfect. And what can I say other than the magic of Goldblum? Just a really good film, good cast, and it was just pure enjoyment. I mean, I've seen this movie. It's, as I said, my favorite Spielberg film. I've seen the movie personally probably at least 25, 26 times. And yeah, I'm very addicted to Jurassic Park myself. But it's no wonder, I mean, it was made like 21 years ago, and the graphics and special effects still stand up. And look at where we are today, like in the graphics. But the reason why I think also it's superior to even Jurassic World. I mean, yes, some of the special effects like 3D graphics may be just a tad better in Jurassic World than Jurassic Park. But the difference being they only used one animatronic in Jurassic World, while Jurassic Park 1 used a ton of animatronics. That's why it looks so much more realistic, because it was physically real. Because that was a robot, an animatronic. So that's what made it feel much more lifelike, because it was physically real. It wasn't digital. And the Velociraptors, that was just classic. Going after the kids in the kitchen room scene is probably one of my favorite, probably top 3 favorite scenes in the movie. That being one of them. Of course, when they first come to Jurassic Park and they see first time the Brachiosaurus walking by. That was epic. And of course the beautiful music by John Williams again. Probably one of my top 3 pieces ever by John Williams of any movie. Definitely iconic. Here's some honorable mentions. The Color Purple, Gremlins, Men in Black, AI, Artificial Intelligence, and one dishonorable mention. War of the Worlds, which looked like a piece of crap actually Michael Bay would do. Coming in at number 1, best Spielberg movie. Last time I checked, overall, I believe film fans gave it like an 89 or 90%, which is very high. And critics have given this movie like a 96, 97%, which is insane. And that movie is called Schindler's List, which takes place in World War II, of course. But it's a true classic film. Schindler's List is just magnificent, of course, beautiful music by Williams. But it shows the despair, and it shows the reality of what the Jews went through. How they were treated in the concentration camps. It is, in a lot of ways, really painful to watch the movie, but it shows how close to detail Spielberg was about this. And, I mean, frankly, to be fair also, it's kind of no surprise that Spielberg wanted to address this himself, given, he himself is a Jew. So, but he did such a great job, the cast, and I think one of the best things about this movie, even though it was done in the 90s, was it was done in black and white. See, that's one of the things I really love about this film, is it was filmed in black and white. That added just a certain level of class to the film that some of his other films haven't had. Some people would complain about the black and white today, especially like teenagers and kids, hipsters, stuff who think everything should be color, have been spoiled. But not for me. For me, I don't care if some's in black and white. It's how the movie was executed, how it was directed, how it was acted. I look at the overall picture, and the overall picture is that Schindler's List truly is a modern classic. There really isn't many other movies from the 90s I would put in the same category as Schindler's List. There's no shadow of a doubt about that. But I'll get ready to cut this vlog. Of course, as always, you can follow me at twitter.com/GokuSunDBZ. Please give my video a thumbs up. Subscribe, let others know about my channel. And, of course, as always, you can leave a comment right below. And tell me what your favorite Spielberg movies are. And, of course, stay tuned for my special comic book reviews, which I'm planning on doing today, hopefully. And also let you know next week, being it's getting close to Halloween, next week my top 12 list is going to be the top 12 vampire movies. So stay tuned for that. And the week after that is going to be the top 12 horror movies. Or I may do that actually on Halloween Day as a special thing for Halloween. But stay tuned, and I'll see y'all next time here in YouTube land.